Mom visits son at school, sees what lunch lady adds to food, and calls 911. The mom didn't know much about the woman. She'd seen her several times when she dropped her kids to school. She'd also seen her on several school football and soccer games. She'd heard a few things about the woman but never really judged her. But that day, as she was dropping a pencil case off for her son, she would learn the terrible truth. She hadn't meant to visit the school when she did so, but that day, while going through her bag at work, she realized her son had left his case inside it. She hopped into her car and quickly drove to school. She knew just how much her son loved the case. He couldn't spend a minute away from it. She pulled into the school lot, unaware of which she was about to uncover. She wasted no time taking the case to her son's class teacher. She still needed to drive back to the salon where she worked before her first client came in. Quickly, she said goodbye and left. But as she was walking past the cafeteria, she saw something that had her breaking in place. How could the lunch lady do this? But for Mary Jane Versosky, this was supposed to be an in-and-out errand. She wasn't meant to stick around. She didn't even know she was lurking until she found herself peeping from inside the cafeteria meters away from the woman. What she'd seen had left her speechless, and she needed to confirm it before her mind collapsed. But she had no idea that she wasn't the only one watching. Newark native Mary Jean had only wanted to give her second-rater son his pencil case when she stumbled upon something she wasn't meant to see. The mom of 5 was flabbergasted at what she witnessed. She thought about is that it led to the offense, watching as the lunch lady poured the white powder into the large, bubbling pot of food. The day had started out simple enough for Mary Jean. After getting her kids ready for school, the mom filed into her station wagon, quickly dropped them off. She then drove to work, eager to start her day. She had no idea she about to uncover a disturbing secret in her children's school. It all started when she discovered Keith's pencil case in her purse. The hour was inching toward noon, and Mary Jean was gearing up for her first hair appointment of the day. Searching through her purse, the mom found the Spider-Man theme pencil case lurking within the depths of her belongings. With her sigh, she fished it out, knowing she wouldn't hear the end of it if she didn't take it to Keith. Since her appointment was still an hour away, Mary Jean thought it okay to drop by the school and give her son the case. She knew how much she loved it and had the extended go just to have it by his side. Hoping to quell his discomfort, she hurried into her station wagon and started for the school, if only she knew what was waiting for there. The drive to school was short, given how close it was to the salon Mary Jane worked at. The mom parked her vehicle in a hurry to the school building, knowing she needed to return to work before the clock struck 12. She waved through the endless kids as they rushed out and into classes. All she had to do was drop the pencil case and return to work, but she wouldn't be going back anytime soon. The mom hurried to Keith's class, but her boy had already left for his next one. His class teacher was in, so the mom knocked on the door and walked in. She talked to the teacher on several occasions. She loved that he was friendly and supportive of everyone. She knew he would agree with her leaving the case with him so she could return to work. Her class teacher accepted the case, promising Keith would get it during lunch break. Mary Jean nodded, thanked him, and quickly left. The halls were empty as every kid had gone to their next class. Mary Jean walked through, seeing the main door ahead. The plan was to leave, but it quickly changed when she reached the cafeteria dorm. Usually, the school cooks would start prepping the cafeteria an hour before lunch break. They'd ensure that by the time the hungry kids left their last morning classes, they'd find the place ready. 3 cooks arranged tables and chairs, while 2 added food to the line. Mary Jean thought these were the only workers until her eyes landed on the woman. Mary Jean had seen her a few times around school while dropping off her kids. She'd seen her interact with the kids across the years. The woman was in her 50s with gray hair and richly blue eyes that had seen all the world had to offer. Her smile was usually genuine and her voice smooth, but was all this just a facade? Mary G knew that everyone loved the lunch lady, from the students to her fellow staff, regardless of whether they were teachers or non-teaching staff. How often did she overheard her kids talking about how great the lunch lady was? She long wanted to interact with this woman to see what was so special about her that everyone adored her so much. Today she'd get her chance. The woman was busy turning a large pot of bubbling stew. From where Mary Jean was standing, she could smell the rich aroma of perfectly seasoned beef, and her mouth started watering. She smiled, about to turn her way. Her mind was still trying to understand why the woman was turning the pot alone. It was then that it happened. The lunch lady looked around for what seemed like half a second. Content that none of her fellow workers were looking at her, she reached for her purse, which had been lying next to the large pot of stew. She opened it. Taking out a plastic bag filled with white powder, she looked around again, seemingly knowing that she wasn't doing good. She emptied the bag into the bubbling pot in one fell swoop, leaving only a bit of powder which she stuffed back into her purse. Mary Jean had to pick up her jaw from the floor after witnessing what the woman had just done. It had all happened in a flash of a second, from when the woman produced the powder to when she poured it in its student food. What was she doing? Mary Jean was livid. Still, she couldn't jump the gun. She wondered if what the woman had done was right by the school's material laws. Her gut was insisting it wasn't. Nothing about what the woman had done felt right. She stirred the pot slower than she'd been doing before she added the powder. A smirk played on her lips. Mary Jean needed to find out more. She snuck into the cafeteria, casually walking in before ducking behind a wall. Unseen, she neared the lunch lady, hoping she would finally crack this case open. As Mary Jean stealthily moved closer to the lunch lady, her heart raced with anticipation. She couldn't believe what she just witnessed. A lunch lady whose smile had always seemed so genuine was adding some mysterious white powder to the food meant for children. It was a disturbing sight that demanded further investigation. Her hiding spot. Mary Jane straight to hear the lunch lady's hushed conversation with a co-worker. Their voices were low, but Mary Jane's curiosity propelled her forward. She needed to know what was going on. Peering around the corner, Mary Jean saw the lunch lady talking to a fellow cafeteria worker named Frank, another beloved worker. Their conversation was hushed, but Mary Jean could catch bits and pieces that left her completely horrified. "Extra spies, keep them coming back," the lunch lady whispered to Frank, who grinned and nodded. "Today's batch is going to be a hit," he said gleefully. Mary Jean's eyes widened. This was no ordinary seasoning the lunch lady had poured into the stew. It was something else entirely. The pieces of the puzzle were slowly falling into place. Determined to uncover the truth, Mary Jean decided to confront the lunch lady directly. She knew it was a risky move, but she couldn't let this continue if it meant harming the chilled. Taking a deep breath, she stepped out from her hiding spot and walked toward the lunch lady. The cafeteria worker looked startled as Mary Jane approached. "Excuse me," Mary Jean said, her voice trembling with a mix of anger and concern. "I couldn't help but notice what you just added to the food. What is that white powder?" The lunch lady's eyes widened in surprising for a moment. It seemed like she was about to deny everything, but then her expression changed. She glazed around nervously and motioned for Mary Jean to follow her. Without a word, the lunch lady led Mary Jean to a quiet corner of the cafeteria, away from prying eyes and curious ears. There she finally spoke in a hushed tone. "It's a secret blend of spices," she admitted reluctantly. "The school board cut back on our budget for spices a while ago, and the food started getting complaints, so I've been adding the secret makes to make it taste better and keep the kids happy." Why did she seem on edge if her actions were right? Mary Jean needed to find out. Although she felt relief wash over her, it didn't stamp out the suspicion bubbling through her. She'd seen how guilty people usually looked, and behave in the woman's face was full of it. While it seemed the lunch lady's intentions were to improve the taste of the food, she couldn't ignore the secrecy and the lunch lady's nervous demeanor. Something didn't add up. But while the secrecy, Mary Jean asked, her voice still firm, why not just tell the school board about the issue and ask for more funds? The lunch lady sighed, her shoulders slumping. "I wish it were that simple, but there's more to this story than you know." Before the lunch lady could explain further, a commotion erupted in the cafeteria. The school's principal, Mr. Richards, was storming in with an angry expression. He'd clearly seen Mary Jean talking to the lunch lady. "What's going on here?" he demanded, glaring at Mary Jean. He wore an expensive-looking suit and watch with keys to his sports car dangling on his fingers. "Who are you, and why are you bothering my staff?" Mary Jean didn't back down. She knew she had to stand her and get to the bottom of this mystery. "I'm a concerned parent," she replied firmly. "I witnessed something troubling, and I think it's my duty to find out the truth." Lands with Mr. Richards, and it was evident they were both uneasy about Mary Jean's presence and determination. Mr. Richards, however, attempted to deflect the situation. "There's nothing to see here. Our cafeteria staff takes great care in providing nutritious meals for our students. Now, if you'll excuse us, but Mary Jean wasn't about to let the matter drop so easily. Although she left as instructed, she had a nagging suspicion there was more to the story. She was determined to uncover the truth no matter the cost. In the days that followed, Mary Jean continued to investigate the cafeteria's secret spice blend and the mysterious behavior of the lunch lady and the prince. She dug deeper, talking to other parents and gathering information about the school's budget and expenditures. What she discovered shocked her to the core. It turned out that Mr. Richards, the seemingly outstanding principal, had been embezzling funds meant for school meals to fund his lavish lifestyle. The lunch lady had resorted to adding the secret recipe blend to make up for the budget shortfall, all while trying to protect the students from subpar meals. Armed with evidence of the embezzlement, Mary Jean presented her findings to the board. The truth revealed, and Mr. Richards was removed from his position as principal, facing legal consequences for his actions. The school's budget was reallocated to ensure that nutritious meals provided to the students without resorting to secret ingredients. The lunch lady, Mary Jean's unexpected ally in this journey, was commended for a dedication to the students' well-being. The school community came together to support her, and she continued to prepare delicious and wholesome meals for the children. This time, with a fully funded budget,